A beer for breakfast. Come on. A beer for lunch. A beer for supper. It just ain't enough. It makes a mighty good nightcap when your day's been rough. And in the morning, instead of coffee and eggs, I'll have a beer for breakfast. Shout out to Zach Top. Just got Zach Top tickets for this summer. If you're looking for a awesome young country singer, check out a little Zach Top. He's got a plethora of hits. Woo, getting throttled in my current posish, which is, wait a minute, you thought you had some AGQs you bought. I did. I bought them and I've already sold them. What? Are you crazy? Talk about in just a minute. TMF, sometimes I like to play with fire, and that's what I've been doing so far today with the TMF, which is a three times directional leveraged ETF alongside the TLT. So currently at 43.26. Let's go to the spreadsheet just to see what went on so far today. So pre-market, and I told you this in the video on Friday if you did tune in. If you did not, you can watch it again. Just, I always say that, like, in case you don't believe me. Why would you not believe me? If you've been watching my videos, I show you the good, the bad, and then my face, which is the ugly. No matter what the trade is, loss, win, whatever it is, I'm going to talk about it. So let's go to the board just to see what went on so far today. Here's all the AGQ I was buying on Friday. And again, if you watch this video, this is just a recap because you already know this. Bought all my way downtown to Chinatown. 1,000 shares at 33.21, 33.08, 33.05, 32.99, 32.88, 32.79, 32.66. And that's very painful. So I was like, I'll take a little break. Wait a minute, still going down. All right, one more tranche. 32.19, final one. Pre-market today was looking pretty appealing. And I said this in the video on Friday that if it had a little bump on Monday, I'd probably just sell out of it and take the money. And what I was looking for was 8,000 was kind of my target in my mind. Because how'd you come up with that, Mark? Well, I had 8,000 shares. So I thought if I can get a buck on the trade, that would be $8,000. And it just was way too juicy for me. So I did put in a limit order pre-market and sold out at 34.37, and AGQ is currently trading at 33.26. So I did make $12,100, and lady even did better than I did. She sold at 34.47 and was able to make several $1,000s. But here's been the fun. You call it fun, but I call it pain. Remember that time when you were interviewing Clubber Lang before that fight against Rocky Balboa? I do remember that, Terry. And I asked him, I said, Clubber, what's your prediction for the fight? And he looked me in the eyes. He said, prediction? Pain. So that's what it's like. This part's like, oh, that looks great, 12,100. But you just don't get that without a roller coaster down first, according to my trading formula, which is buy early and then sell early. So this is what's going on TMF. 1,000 shares at 44.44, 44.29, 43.99. You see the pattern here. Downtown to Chinatown, 43.89, 43.77, 43.57. Take a little break. Get me running out of breath. And finally, and that'll be it, I will not buy any more of these shares before this trade is put to bed. And the final tranche is at 43.29. So let's go to the board. Let's go to the charts just to see, what's going on with these trades, including this latest one. So here we go. Here's silver, and this is why I went ahead and I was like, I'll book it. I'm looking for an A, B, C. I think we already have the A and the B. It doesn't mean before the day is out that this B extends and still is on the table. Very valid. But I'm looking for this, and then that's when we'll be beep, 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 loading up the truck on AGQ. And I did buy just under $10,000 worth of physical silver on Friday. So that was a pretty good move. I'll probably, if we if we start approaching this, I'll be buying my way down into it with physical silver and AGQ. And then if we get down here where I think we might get, then I'll be looking for the silver ETF SLV leaps for another round of that. Here's our futures. Future's so bright, you gotta wear shades. AGQ. So this is what, and I was looking for this, and I talked about it on Friday. I got that first one, and we did make some dough, as we just showed you in the spreadsheet. I'm still looking for at least a 31 handle and probably into the 30s on AGQ. And then it's loaded up, loaded in. Let me begin. Yeah, there's my ABC to follow silver on the AGQ. Let's move it over. Hey, you left that C behind. I need to just what I do when I put these charts together. Come on, TMF, get back up. Is I'll just throw the ABC on based on the measurements, and then I'll usually put a box around, which is the latest target. Going the wrong way, but like I said, this could easily extend today before it heads down into the C. Again, according to my thesis, none of this is trading advice. It's barely entertainment, correct? Wow. It's just been wild, hasn't it been? The last couple of weeks has just been wild. Good and bad. Oof, mostly bad. There's our GLD big picture. Here is our GLD 5-minute. Oh. Trying to break through the weekend low. Probably what we're going to need. And here's our Bitcoin. So when I had this 5 on and I was like, hey, and somebody was like, no, that's it. Bitcoin's only going up from here. It's like, I know there's still a 5 in there somewhere. And boy, did we ever get it, huh? Now, is that the 5? I think it's the 5, but we shall see how this rebounds. It had a huge run. So if this is 5 down, then we should see a corrective 3 up, okay? Which would mean something, a little bit something like this. Hit it, make it a little bigger. But I don't always trust these wicks, like with these big monster wicks, but you get those in the bitter coin. Beer for breakfast. Hold on, let's just put the B up and then go from here. Get out the old fibby dibbies, and then we'll just do a quick look at what this looks like. Yeah, so that's this box. We're already be in that box, so I just would count it. So let's just, for a minute, take this off. And I would say we're approaching that B box as we speak. It's really moving here, grooving. And I'd put it, based on that fib, I'd put it right at the top that we could already be in there. Already be in there. Give me that B, move it a little. And then just a typical would be A equals C. We've talked about that a million times. So get that C up on the board. Yes. And this would just be a quick look at the chart. And then we, based on, again, what is the move after the 5 down? Do we get a corrective A, B, C up? And then it decides where the next impulse is. That's typically what it does. So we'll be, watching that. Put this line up last week and you're probably like, oh yeah, right. But look what it did. It went all the way down to near it, and I don't think it's over yet. So 345 is what I'm looking for on the S&P, and there it is. So I don't think it just went directly to 5. I think that it'd be more like this. Hit it. Yeah, definitely you can count that as a 4. So then the 5 would be, we would measure this up to put it in the right spot, open it up a little. Can we open it up? Yeah. Just talking to myself, like you like when I do that. Let's give it a big target, move it down, and move it here. I'll measure that up just to see, but I think we got one more flush coming. But the way it's been moving, it could easily be over this week. Could be over tomorrow. This thing has been violent. Here's our 1 minute on the SPY. Qs I haven't done anything with lately. It'd be the same theory. Looking for one more plunge. Just rip your face off. It was like a crash up, wasn't it? And then it's taken a big dip back down, and I think there's still one more lower low. Here's our TLT. And this was up here last week. As you know, I was looking for this gap to fill, and it said, nah, today I'll go and just get right into the 5 box, and then I'll fill your gap. Now what I'm looking for is this gap. Let's make this smaller. Move it over, and let's call that. We want to see this gap fill now. Whoa, how do you work this thing? Let's fill that gap, shall we? Move it down a little. I want to touch the bottom of that. Oh boy. You should really work on this before you come on. We'll do it live is what I say. Do it live. Fill that gap. How about them apples, right? So TLT, you got your marching orders. Let's get on with it. So on the TLT, this is what I'm looking for. A, B, C. It's obviously revisited that low, and I would be very nervous if it revisited the candle of that low. So hang in there, and then I'm looking for some serious action even today. It's already noon here in the farm field, so we've got just under 3 hours to go in the market. And I would be looking for a pretty aggressive move for me to feel over the moon about this trade, but that may not come today. But I still feel good overall, but the market's been whack jobbing it lately. So uranium, same thing. It's just, remember this, that's not happening. That's off the board. That's invalidated. So now what I want to see is we got to get back up here. I think I may have put something in on this one. Yeah. This is even higher. So the first thing that's at 22.93 where I put that line in this morning. First thing would be this 22.50. Let's get rid of that 22.50 first. Yeah. Take that sucker out, sucker MC. I'm glad you don't follow any of this as actual advice because you can tell I'm a wacko. Take out Red Rum. Make it a little smaller so we can get a. And again, this is for you and I as visuals, not visuals. Take that sucker out. When you doing that? Not today, Bart. No, I'd say by the end of the week. End of the week, we'll be looking at that. Red Rum line right here. Watch this lower trend line. And we did go whoop. Oh yeah, you better watch it. But we did just wick into it. So I'm not entirely. Oh, natty. Yeah, I thought earlier I was like, I missed the trade, but man, it's too violent right now for me. I'm taking natty off the board, and that means I'm taking its aggressive bipolar brother Boyle off the board too. Copper, I think, is going off the board also. Although I'll be looking for that gap to fill. I'll just put that up there for fun. Copper's gotta be bottoming. This is CopX, which is the ETF for copper. But let's put in the fancy dancer ellipse. Hold me closer, Tony Danza. Fill this thing right there. Okay, you know what that means. By the end of the week, I don't think it's coming before then unless we have an amazing turn of events. Because if this starts going up through this gap, then silver, uranium, all this stuff's going to be looking good in that regard. Okay, I got a little life coming back to the TMF. Got as low as what on this move? I'm not counting this move because that set the stage of, okay, that B hopefully is in. So it got down to about 43.12, and that's at 43.48. So we could be looking at the start of the move that I am hoping for. But this thing will drag you through the dirt and put you through the ringer a lot of times before it does eventually what you want it to do. So that's that. Looking our way back to Bitcoin on the way through. I'd still be looking for this at the moment. Now, what I like to do is go back in silence and look at these charts real slow. Get out the tape measure, the yardstick, start measuring up these movements. Yes, of course, I should have held my GLD short a little longer, but TTM, take the money. TTM, take the money. Okay, so that's the things we're looking at. That is what we are looking at. So, getting back over here, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, share with a lovable friend. Had a lovely dinner out with friends on Saturday night, an early celebration of my birthday. My birthday is Wednesday, but guess what? What's that, Bart? I'm taking Stacy, Kristen, and Kathy to the airport. Yeah, another trip into the warm weather. Lady tans a lot, looking for some more sunlight on her beautiful, dark complected skin. She just walks through the sun and is tan, just like Maya Coco as well. Okay, S&P trying to make another move back up. It's wild. This is wild and wacky stuff. And I'm caught up on the Cubs. Hello, it's Max Verstappen. Wait, spoiler alert! If you haven't watched your F1 Grand Prix yet, turn this video off immediately. My guy, who doesn't have the fastest car in the field, won the Grand Prix over the weekend. Finished P1 with McLaren coming in 2 and 3. McLaren does indeed have the fastest car this season. Sometimes that'll change during the year. A lot of times it'll last the whole year. So that's what's going on there. Yes. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. See you in the next video.